Hey everyone, this is Vidal Thakur AJ Raven and welcome to my comic book roundup where I quickly go over some of the comic books that I read this week. So I ended up reading 6 comic books and yeah, first up I'm going to talk about Batman issue number 88. Now writer James Tynion James Tynion IV has been introducing us to a very mystery-filled current arc where there's apparently this designer who has this plan for Gotham and he or she, whoever that character is, we don't know yet, he wants to take down Bruce Wayne because because the designer wants to make Gotham or mold Gotham in their own image. However, Bruce has his own plans and Bruce is trying to mold Gotham into his own image, and it's fun. I also enjoyed how the narrative arc ended up handling Selina. Apparently Selina, Penguin and the Joker have been working together for their plan. I think it happened years ago, but now the time has come for that plan to be enacted. And yeah, I liked the interaction that Selina had with the Riddler, and the Riddler was like, you know what, Selina, it took you a very long time in order to gain not Bruce's, he doesn't know that Batman is Bruce Wayne, but it took you a very long time in order to gain Batman's trust. And is he going to continue trusting you when he finds out what you have been doing and how you're connected to the entire thing that the designer is doing? It was a very fun interaction. And I am a fan of Selina and Bruce as a couple, so I don't really want any unnecessary drama, so I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. And of course, Harley Quinn ended up to help Selina, so yeah, that will be interesting to see what happens. The art is okay, the narrative pacing is okay as well, and yeah, James Tynion does seem to have a very interesting story that he wants to tell, so let's see how it progresses. Moving on. My recommendation would be that you should consider picking up this book. Moving on, we have DC's Crimes of Passion issue number 1. This is an 80-page giant issue, and as far as my opinion goes, it was a waste of money, because how can you do a Valentine's Day special comic book without having a comic book story that features Apollo and Midnighter? And yeah, it was very meh for me. Then we have The Magnificent Miss Marvel by Saladin Hamid, and yeah, I liked Saladin's grasp over Kamala Khan as a character. There was a lot of stuff that Kamala had to do in this issue. She had to decide whether or not she needs to immediately go to the hospital in order to give her blood to save her father's life, or if she can take a few minutes to go and save one of her ex-friends, you can say. So it was fun. And it turns out that Bruno and Kamala are now a couple. Kind of. Kamala is like trying to keep it a secret, which also makes sense because Kamala has been dealing with a lot, and I liked how Bruno was like, you know what, Kamala, I understand where you're coming from, so I can give you time. And personally, I'm not a fan of Kamala and Bruno as a couple, but let's see where this goes. My recommendation would be that you should definitely pick up this issue. Then we have Marauders Issue number 7 by Jerry Duggan, and I don't know about you all, but I have been enjoying what Jerry has been doing with the Marauders series. It opens up with Callisto being recruited as the White Knight for Emma Frost in order to help her with the Hellfire Company stuff and keeping Krakoa safe. And apparently Emma ended up giving a very nice place for the Morlocks to stay, so that was good. And considering what happened to Kate in the previous issue, I still think that she is alive. I say that because there was this very interesting interaction between Emma and Sebastian Shaw during the Quiet Council meeting, and the way that Emma told Shaw to enjoy the day, I was like, you know what, I think Emma knows. I think that Emma and Kate have been working together on a strategy to bring Sebastian Shaw down. So that would be interesting to see where, it would be interesting to see where that leads. And also Christian and Bobby are a thing, and yeah, I'm here for it. As far as the Yellow Jacket thing is concerned, it's still there. Bishop seems to be onto something. So my recommendation is that you should really pick up this issue. It's a whole lot of fun. Then we have Strikeforce issue number 6 by Tini Howard, and I've been enjoying reading this series. The current arc has the team working on 2 missions. We have Angela Spider-Woman, Spectrum, Bucky, and Blade trying to address the Moonstone issue, the Moonstone and Ghost issue, while Billy and Damien Hellstrom are keeping an eye on the Verdai Prince, or is he a Count? I'm not really sure. But yeah, we got to see Billy use her we got to see Billy use his future seeing powers, because Billy, being the demiurge to be, he can look at all possible realities, and that's a very, very powerful ability to have, because basically Billy has the potential to mold the entire MCU reality to his whim. So yeah, it was also interesting to see Damien being kind of intimidated by that power. And yeah, the question that I have is that why hasn't Professor X sent an invite to Wiccan to come and stay in Krakoa? I'm not really sure. As far as my opinion goes, I think that because Moira doesn't want any mutants who can see the future to come on the island, I think that's why they're okay with Wiccan staying as far away from the island as possible, because being able to see all possible realities does cover the fact that you can see into the future and you can see what happens. So maybe that's why Wiccan hasn't been to Krakoa yet. I'm not really sure. But yeah, my recommendation is that you should consider picking up this series. Then the final issue that I read was X-Men and Fantastic Four issue number 1. Now, I have been looking forward to this series for ever since it was announced, and especially because I do remember reading X-Men versus Fantastic Four, or Fantastic Four versus X-Men. I think it was back in the 1980s. It was a very interesting crossover that allowed there to be a very strong connection between Kate Pryde, Shadowcat, and Franklin Richards. So in a sense, X-Men and Fantastic Four issue number 1 by Chip Zdarsky ended up being a spiritual successor to that crossover. And over the decades, Storm has been able to form a very strong relationship with Sue Richards, and Storm has been part of the Fantastic Four team with the Black Panther. So I was looking forward to seeing how all of these relationships come into play, because Professor X wants Franklin Richards to stay in Krakoa because he feels that he needs to be with his own people, and also because Franklin's powers are depleting. Professor X wants to help him, and he also needs to figure out if the powers of other mutants can be depleted as well. As far as my opinion goes, it was a very interesting issue to read. I would highly recommend that you pick this up. And all of the interactions between Franklin and his parents, Franklin and Ben Grimm, Professor X and Magneto talking to Sue and Reed Richards, it was very fun. The only thing that I felt unnecessary was the fight that ended up happening between these two groups. It felt very comic book tropey, like two superhero teams can't really talk together unless there's fighting involved, so I wasn't a fan of that. And I also liked the interaction between Storm and Ben Grimm, where Ben was like, why do you think Franklin needs to be in Krakoa? And Storm's like, he needs to be with his own people. And as far as I remember, Storm isn't an isolationist. However, Franklin does need to come. He needs to see what Krakoa has to offer him, and then he can decide how he wants to divide his time between Krakoa and his parents' house in Yancey Street. But yeah, by the end of this issue, we see Franklin and Val hiding in the Marauders ship, and Kate finds them, and then Doctor Doom appears. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the upcoming issues. I think this miniseries is only going to be 4 issues long, so it'll be interesting to see how they address the Franklin Richards issue and that problem, and whether or not he decides to stay in Krakoa. But yeah, these were the comic books that I ended up reading. I will be doing a written review of all of these comic books for the Geekery. The link to that will be down in the comment section below or in the description of this video. Let me know which comic books you read this week, and yeah, until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed, and I'll see you guys later.